Hello and welcome to the Student Ramble. This is episode 5. My name is Leah and today I'm joined with Phoebe and Millie. Hello guys.
Hello.
Hiya.
And today we are finally dipping our toe into the huge pond which is online university and university's responses to the pandemic and COVID and all that stuff. So, fun times. So, a bit of a backstory. We were towards the end. We were in our second term when it all kicked off. It was March of first year, and I mean, I don't know if you guys remember that day, but I think everything started to crop up. It was just after Christmas, and we were like, "Oh, this is this thing which isn't affecting us." And then I think the first UK case was in Reading, so it was quite close. So we were like, "Oh no!" And then I think that was around February, and then it just started to grow and grow, and then it was about the end, towards the end of March, when it was like, "Okay, we're moving university online."
I thought it was like mid-March because the UK got put in full lockdown on the 23rd.
I think it was all the same week, wasn't it? Like, because I think it was the Tuesday.
We left uni around like the 15th, 16th of March kind of time.
Okay. Yeah, and then because we just got the email which was saying that we were getting that everything was getting put online, and I remember that day because I got the email. I think it was the Tuesday. It was a Tuesday, and everything was being closed. I think it was on the Wednesday, so I was like, I'm going now. So I literally packed up my entire flat and I was like, I'm going. So that was crazy.
Yeah.
It was definitely very strange.
I remember we all, like, one of the last things we did when we were in that flat is we went for a walk together, like, around campus. It was so, like, it was so weird to think, like, that was the last time things were, like, quote-unquote normal.
Well, the thing is, we thought it was only going to be for a couple of weeks. We thought, oh, well, you know, we're close to the Easter holiday anyway. We'll probably see you after that.
Yeah, we'll come back after Easter.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
And, you know, nearly, like, you know, a couple of years later, well, a good few months later, it was like, oh, okay.
It feels like a couple of years later.
It does it feels like it's been ages. What was your, like, initial thoughts of online uni?
Oh.
When it first happened, I think that definitely my lecturers and seminar leaders were so confused by the whole online thing. One of my seminar leaders before our seminar, he sent us 8 different emails in the space of about 10 minutes as he was working out how to use the online Blackboard Collaborate. And he just didn't have a clue what he was doing, which is pretty common. So that first term and the summer term getting used to online was definitely not straightforward with everyone getting used to it.
Yeah, I kind of felt like the end of first year for us, so the first proper term we were completely online was kind of like a novelty, because it was like, I've got a few online stuff, then I've got exams, and then we're done, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't really a proper term of classes a week.
I don't think it really hit me until September.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, this is how this is going to work. So how did your guys kind of, when we came back in September, how were your lectures laid out? Did you have any in-person stuff, or was it all online?
So because I'm doing a science degree, it basically, I had 5 or 6 lectures a week, and then I had a lab, but my lab was for my research module, which didn't really need to be in person. It was kind of more of a formality, so that was in when we were able to go onto campus, that was in person. But to be fair, a lot of people that I knew didn't come back, so when we had exams and everything in first year, we were kind of discussing, surely we'll be fine by September, and kind of working out if people were going to come back and all of that stuff. And I think when we got the timetables, I think it was the end of August, and we saw that we only had one thing on campus, but they'd scheduled in online substitutes for them for people who weren't coming back, you kind of just were able to make a judgment and be like, okay, I don't personally feel comfortable going onto campus, so I'm just gonna hang around. So it was just like it was a massive adjustment from going to scheduled lectures and, you know, the timetable saying, okay, I've got a 9 a.m. in this building, and I'm like, I have to go to that because I'm going to get information there, to having videos posted at set times, but you could kind of just access them whenever you wanted. So it was having to kind of learn how to schedule that for yourself, and that was like a really weird adjustment for me.
Yeah, when we came back in September, I had 3 modules in the autumn term, and I had 3 contact hours on campus, and then our lectures were like pre-recorded and uploaded online, so we could do those whenever we wanted. So it definitely was, like Leah said, a change from everything scheduled for you to you really having to schedule in your lectures and making sure you've done them before, like the discussion group and stuff like that. It was nice to be back on campus, the in-person sessions I had, but they're obviously so different because you're all sat there in masks and sat 2 meters away. So it was very different from my first year seminars where there'd be like 15 of us huddled up in a tiny English lit office. So it's very different.
I mean, compared to my first year, in September when we came back during the pandemic, it was like night and day. So I went from having like 22 to 24 on-campus hours a week to fully online, like everything online, with maybe like 1 or 2 like online calls a week. So I was basically completely on my own. Like, the thing that not a lot of people really say is that our lectures were no longer scheduled. So I'd have like 12, 13 lectures to do a week, and I'd have to work out a timetable for myself in order to do it, and still not like I'd have to schedule them in a way where I would still have time for myself. If that makes sense, instead of having like timetabling do it for me, you know. So I didn't really go back onto campus until like the end of last term, really. And even then it was just like a couple of times for like a practical.
This thing, I think it's been really difficult because obviously in terms of all students, like, even I don't know the extent of, you know, people like lower than university, but in terms of uni students, you know, our bedrooms have been our offices, so it's kind of been just moving around the same space, you know, 24 hours a day for 7 days a week, and, you know, we just haven't had the separation between you know, work and social and all that sort of stuff, which I think has been really, really difficult.
You do definitely have to make like an effort to not isolate yourself. It can be very easy to literally just sit at your desk all day long. So you do have to make an effort to go outside and to do things that aren't just uni work, because you're scheduling everything yourself, or at least we have been. So yeah, it's definitely important not to just stay in your room, and it gets very lonely otherwise.
Yeah, and something that really helped me was, like, obviously me and Millie are both in like uni rooms, which are very, very small. You know, we don't have a lot of options for space because our like kitchen is a shared space. You don't really want to doing that when people are like coming in and out, making food, making hot drinks and stuff. Something I found very useful is sectioning out my space. So I have I have a very big desk. One corner of my desk is just where I work. So whenever I sit there, it's like work mode. And then if I want to watch like Netflix or something, I move everything so I'm facing a different way, which kind of helps me dissociate something relaxing from my work environment.
Yeah.
which really helped me.
Yeah, it's been the same for me in a way, because so in the in the first lockdown, I was because I'd come out of halls, I was at home, and then it was around July, we were able to move into our uni house, and that was nice. But the issue was, it wasn't space, because I had a bigger room, I had a bigger desk, which I was able to kind of properly separate into work and play. But yeah, my biggest issue with the whole online uni has been Wi-Fi. Like, trying to get stable
God.
Wi-Fi. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Mm.
If I have to sit through one more like awkward Teams meeting. Oh.
But also,
Yeah.
like, so for example, for me, all of my lectures have been pre-recorded and then posted. A lot of them, there's been weeks where there's been technical issues, so a lecture which should have been posted at 12 on Friday has been delayed until the following Monday, which throws off my entire schedule. And I was working a lot as well, so I'd schedule in my work hours alongside my uni hours, and then I'd have to readjust it all, which is difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, I did find that a lot with my lecturers. So obviously not only are the students online, all the lecturers are online as well. So you kind of have to get used to, okay, this lecturer usually posts then, even if they say they're going to post. Like, they're meant to go up, our lecturers are meant to go up on Monday at 9 a.m. But some people wouldn't post them until like the Thursday. So you'd kind of have to get used to that, and to get used to, okay, I know they won't post until then, so I should probably schedule that modules, lectures, like at the end of the week. But no one tells you that. Like, it was very much like going with the flow. There's a lot of kind of, you need to have a lot of backup plans for your work, which was something very difficult to get used to, when at least I was used to a very like strictly regimented term, like strictly regimented work terms.
Yeah, having a timetable which was flexible was so important, because I found that if I'd set some plans in stone, if they changed, it caused me so much anxiety. But then once I was becoming more flexible with it, and I was like, okay, well, if I set Monday and Tuesday to do these modules, and then I can do all of my questions on the Friday or whatever, like having a flexible plan made it so much easier. But my biggest problem was finding the motivation to do it, especially I think especially this third lockdown has been, I mean, I know quite a lot of people who've been really demotivated.
Yeah, I think because everything now, like in normal times, I keep saying normal times, but you know what I mean, like before pandemic,
pre-COVID,
when the world's not ending.
Yeah, like you had to go to lectures, that was your motivation, like, oh, I have to get up and out of bed because I have a lecture at 9 a.m, but now it's like, oh, I could just stay in bed all day and not do anything. Like, you have
it's
to,
very easy,
like,
especially
you go
on. Okay. When I was at home throughout spring term, and it was very easy for me to be like, oh, but the sofa and the TV and Netflix is right there, so I'm just going to sit here and not go upstairs to my laptop, because that's not fun. So you do have to, strict is maybe the wrong word, but you do have to try and push yourself to get stuff done. It can be really easy to not do it, especially when you're in a lockdown and everyone's just tired of being stuck at home and not being able to do what you want to do. So
I think for me, so I've got like a weekly planner, and I made sure that each day I had one thing which was non-negotiable, which was okay, today my non-negotiable thing is I need to go through this lecture, and then I'd have like I'd have questions which I had to do alongside the lecture, which if I felt like it, I would do it then and there, which I would normally do because by the time I got going with it, it was fine. But yeah, I think it was too much temptation to begin with to like just do the lecture whilst you're in bed still, or just to jump onto the seminar if it was 9 a.m. But one thing that I'm quite proud that I've done is like I've always sat at my desk to do my work, because I just knew if I started doing bad things, they would become bad habits and then I just wouldn't learn.
I would say my biggest piece of advice if you're working at home, don't work in your bed. Like, that's my biggest piece of advice.
Oh my god, don't do that.
Don't work in bed, please.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys found, I mean, I think I did it a couple of times, just where I was like feeling super tired and I was like, I'm just going to do it now. And I slept so much worse. So I slept worse. I think just because, the brain needs separate areas to do different things. Technically we shouldn't have, we shouldn't be watching YouTube in bed or, Netflix or being on our phones at all in bed. But of course we all do it. And I think almost doing uni work, as much as it is nice and comfy and when you're done you can just close the lid, throw it on the bed and then you go to sleep, it makes it so much harder to unwind or relax when you want to. And I think especially like at the moment where time hasn't felt like it's been real, like the days, especially I think it's not too bad because it's lighter in the evenings now, but especially during winter when it was really dark really early and there just wasn't much light, it was just so hard to stay motivated, stay awake. So yeah,
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like I know that during like especially during the winter when I was in my uni rooms doing my lectures, like my mental health really suffered. Like I was in like I have issues with like anxiety and stuff, but I found everything so much more difficult to deal with when it was like 3 p.m. and dark outside and I was like, I have so much to do and I feel like it's night time and I just feel so useless and blah.
Yeah,
I don't know,
I agree.
Did you guys feel that as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, if it's light outside, I think the weather really plays for my mood. And I think, yeah, like you say, when it's 3 p.m. and it's dark, you feel like you've wasted a day. Especially, for me, I won't really start doing uni work until sort of midday-ish. But I quite like to go for a walk, especially at the moment, it's quite nice to be able to get out and do something. And I think, you do a bit of work and then it's like, I don't want to go for a walk when it's really dark. I'd like to go when it's light. But yeah, I think it was just, everything seemed so much harder to try and push myself to do. And I found that it took a lot more effort just to do little things. But I think that's where it was really important to be compassionate because, yes, we're learning and everything, but we're also going through this difficult time. We don't know what we're doing. No one knows what they're doing. So I think it's like being kind to yourself was very important, and that's something that I had to learn to do and learn to be comfortable with.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I mean, I say I think a lot of people, I know for me, like, I've always kind of struggled being, like, kind to myself. Like, I've always been very tough on myself. But I found during these lockdowns and everything, I've, realised that, there's more to life than just working constantly. Like, yes, that's a big part of my life, but I can't do that to my best ability if I'm not looking after myself. It's like a car. Like, no matter how nice your car is on the outside, if the inside isn't working quite right, you're gonna go nowhere.
Yeah.
Clean your engine, lads.
What about you, Millie?
Yeah, I do think you have to look after yourself, and I definitely had to make more of an effort to look after myself because like I said, it becomes very easy to isolate yourself in your room, and from there it's just downhill, really. And like we said, with the winter and it being dark, I definitely find that the natural light helps. It helps me stay awake and focused. So when it's light like it is today until like 6-7 o'clock, I definitely find that I'm able to work for longer, stay motivated for longer. And then when it does get dark, I'm like, okay, I can start to wind down now. So it definitely does have an effect.
On the topic of self-care, let's brighten this back up again. What's your favourite way? Like, what's your favourite thing to do when you're feeling really down? Like, how do you, like, make yourself feel a little bit better?
When I was at home, it was having a bath. Because I bloody love a bath with a bath bomb. And I sit in the bath for hours. So that is what I did when I was at home. Otherwise, I just, like, I'll treat myself to an episode of Grey's Anatomy, or watch something that I enjoy, watch a film, and just wind down and sort of switch my brain off from stressed, focused uni mode to Grey's Anatomy. I mean, what more could you want?
Yeah, for
Leah,
me, it's difficult because, you know, sometimes it's not like whenever I'm feeling stressed, I do this one thing and then I'm good. But it's normally, you know, for example, if I'm feeling a bit down, a bit stressed, the first thing I'll do normally is I'll listen to music. It depends what kind of music, though, because sometimes I want to listen to depressing music to really get in my feelings and really experience them, because then it's normally the case that once I've felt them, then I'm on the up, because I've listened to my body, I've understood it, and then I'm going to move on. Sometimes it's like I feel like I want to. What I'll sometimes do is I'll wash my face, or I'll do a face mask, because I think it's purely like a placebo thing, but I find that when I'm clean, I feel a bit better. Or, you know, I'll go for a walk. I don't know. I think sometimes I want to surround myself with people as a way to kind of vicariously live through them and their joy. But sometimes, you know, I just want to be on my own. But one thing what I normally do is I'll close my laptop down and hide it, so I won't be tempted to go and do work or to do anything. And I'll probably turn my phone on silent as well. And I'll kind of put that away, because sometimes you kind of just need to shut off from the world, because especially I think at the moment we're living basically through social media to be able to talk to friends and everything, and I think it gets very draining. So to look after myself, I kind of just just message my friends and just say, look, I'm just gonna have a night where I'm just switching off. Maybe I'll read a book, and yeah, just kind of look after myself.
Very nice.
What about you, Phoebe?
Sometimes I just need a good cry, like just to get it all out. So I will slap on a bit of sad music and have a good sob sesh in the shower. Oh my god, that's a tongue twister. Sob sesh in the shower. Okay, there we go, got it. Because that's just what you need sometimes. Just need a good cry. But my favourite thing to do, I love to paint my nails and watch a film while I do it. Because I'm someone who, like, if my hands are free, I have to be doing something. And if I have wet nails, I can't do anything. What a shame, you know? So it kind of, like, forces me to just sit still. So that's what I like to do.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know about you guys, but I've really tried to listen to what my brain is telling me, like, what it wants to do. Because, you know, some days if I've scheduled in to do lectures or do my coursework, if I'm not in the right mindset to do it, I'm not going to force myself to do it. And, you know, it might mean I take out a few days where I just don't do anything, but I'll feel better in the long run. Because I've definitely felt burnt out the past couple of months. But I think now that... So as of last week, you know, things have started to open again. You know, we're like slowly coming out of the lockdown again. hopefully it's the last one. But I really just want to, I don't know, enjoy life whilst we still can at the moment. I don't want to go back into another lockdown. But I think, I mean, the fact that we've had the confirmation that our exams are online again, I think it's just kind of, I've got the motivation again to kind of be like, right, let's get this year done, and then we can enjoy our summer, and then hopefully have a normal third year. The problem is we haven't had a normal year at all at uni, because even in first year before the pandemic, we had loads of strikes and we missed out on a load of stuff anyway. So, you know, we haven't sat a normal exam or really had a normal term. And I'm kind of excited to try that out.
Yeah, hopefully next year will be.
But I mean, speaking of exams, how did you guys find the first year exams? Like, what were yours like?
So I had 8 exams. I always have a lot of exams. I have 7 this year. But last year I had 8, but they were all MCQs. So MCQ stands for multiple choice questions, which are, I love those exams so much. So I had 8 of them. They were really weird to do online. I had like an hour and a half to do them. I think they were like 50, 60 questions. But yeah, I did a lot of preparation for them because obviously I didn't know really what to expect. But yeah, definitely a weird experience doing them in my room at home. I had to speak to my parents and be like, hey, can you not work during these times because I need the house to be silent while I do my exams. So there's definitely a lot of negotiation with silent times during exam season when I was at home. But now we're back at uni for this year. There's like a quiet period. Is it called a quiet period, or like an exam like silent code? I can't remember what it's called, but basically the student village where we are has kind of been put on like don't make noise because
it's like
people are working.
It's like almost like a grace period.
Yeah. So I feel like this year it will be a lot easier to do exams while at uni and not at home because you won't have to have that weird negotiation with people because they'll just hopefully, touch wood, be silent. What about you guys? What's your kind of exam memories? Or
I only had 3 last year. 2 of them were essay based, so I had 2 essays to do for each, and then one of them was a multiple choice. I was a fan of the online format, to be fair, because exams stress me out. The whole exam hall thing, it kills me. So I didn't mind having them online. The essay ones were not easy, but we had 23 hours to complete them in, so that's quite nice really to be able to, I got up, downloaded the paper, read the questions, and then I would go and have breakfast and just think about it and be able to come back and focus on it. I quite liked that. And because they were open book as well, I feel like there's less stress around, especially doing an English degree, like remembering quotes and textual pieces of evidence, because you've got the book there and you can have notes. So I was quite a fan of the online exam format, and I'm glad that we've got them again this year.
Yeah, for me, I had 5 exams, I think. But all of mine, so one of mine was all multiple choice questions, and that was fine. And then the other 4 I had a set, it's hard to explain. Basically, half of the exam was multiple choice questions, and then the other half was like an essay. So what I would do is I would wake up, I would do the multiple choice questions, and then I would download the paper which would have the essay questions on them. I'd pick which one I wanted to do, because for psychology I think you get 4, and then you can pick which title you want to answer. And then I'd go away, have lunch, and then come back and answer it, and that was the routine I was in. and I really enjoyed it because, you know, like you guys, exams stress me out, but not because of the kind of the atmosphere of an exam, but it's more the preparation, like the whole revision process, and especially the amount of content that we have to know. It really stresses me out. So I think the fact that we were able to have our notes whilst we were doing the exams, it wasn't a test of memory, it was a test of understanding, and I preferred that a lot more because I felt more comfortable and I performed a lot better than I probably would have if it was normal.
Same.
And, you know, I really enjoyed that, and I think they're slightly different for me this year. So rather than having multiple choice questions, I do one essay from the autumn term content and one essay from the spring term content, and it's a choice between 4 for each of those essays.
Yeah,
which
mine's
is really
the same
nice
this year as well.
Yeah, and it's a lot nicer because I feel like I can really show what I know and what I understand a lot better rather than just what I can remember. And I mean, I don't know, I'm hoping that when it comes to exams in the future, well, I say in the future, exams for third year, it'll be similar because I think the education system is so focused on what you can remember, rather than what you understand.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, at the end of the day, it is about applying the knowledge that you've learned rather than just regurgitating what you've remembered onto a piece of paper. But
yeah, I definitely agree.
I mean, I'm excited for third year just to try and experience uni properly. I don't know, it's just the fact that, so for third year for me, I have I think I have like 3 2-hour seminars a week. I think I have like a couple of lectures, but obviously it's mainly focused on the dissertation in third year. And yeah, I'm just excited to be back in a classroom. Like, I'm so bored of the 4 walls that I've been doing my work in for the past like year. It'd just be nice to have I don't know, go outside with a purpose of like, I don't know, just being like, okay, right,
With
from
any purpose.
Going somewhere.
Yeah, just going somewhere. Like, you know, 11 till 12, I've got to trek to this building, which is halfway across campus, and I think it'd just be nice
I want to feel, what I really want back is having to feel angry about having to go somewhere.
Yeah, having to trek, like, if you've got like a 9 a.m. on the opposite side of campus, as much as I don't like it, it's going to be nice again to be able to be like actually having to force myself to get up early and be like, I'm starting my day early.
Yeah.
I mean, I
also
wake
found
up early anyway.
I also found that like going to classes, it made me felt like I'd accomplished something, and so I'd come back and I'd be like, I'm motivated now, I've done that, so now I feel like more motivated to get on with other work that I've got to do. So going to a lecture or a seminar, you're automatically able to tick something off the list, and I love a to-do list. I love ticking things off, so that definitely motivated me, just having a purpose to go somewhere and get stuff done.
Yeah, and also like if I'm already out at a lecture or a seminar, I'm more likely to go to the library to get some coursework done rather than, you know, at the moment I'm like, as much as I know that I would probably work quite well at the library, I don't really want to go there if I don't have to. You know, like I've got a decent study space, so I don't want to take it up and whatever. But I don't know, just the idea of like even just getting things like social stuff back, you know, like events on campus, that'll be really nice to go to again. And I mean, I was speaking to one of the tutors, and I think they all understand the fact that next year is going to be pretty much a write-off for a lot of the years. You know, like we're all going to want to get our life back, so I think they're expecting like a dip in quality of work. But I don't know, I'm bored of sitting inside and doing lectures now.
It's only so long, like the novelty's worn off now, we're all kind of
the
over
novelty
it.
wore off like within a couple of weeks.
It was fun for a bit to like work in your pajamas every day, but now like I'm up and dressed, so I'm just gonna sit in the same chair again.
Yeah. I mean, I try and get up and get dressed just to make me feel like I've done something. I'm like, yep, well, at least, like, you know,
Yeah.
if I haven't done any work today, at least I've, like, put on a nice dress.
If I haven't done any work, at least I've drawn tiny little wings on my eyelids.
Exactly. I mean, do you guys think that the experiences that we've had through online university, do you think that's going to help us later on? Or do you think that we're going to be, like, disadvantaged in a way?
I think it's a useful skill to have, like having self-motivation, that organisation and time management. You know, through applying for God knows how many placements, those are the skills that employers want. They want someone who's self-motivated, who will problem solve, who will reach out when they don't know what to do, but will also try and figure it out on their own and have the ability to break their workload down into more manageable pieces. So I think in the long run it will be very beneficial.
Yeah.
But at the moment, you know, it's draining.
Yeah.
So I think short term it will probably be quite damaging.
I think that students have sort of proven resilience and determination, because it would have been very easy for a lot of students to give up. Like, I have thought about it, because you get to a point where you're like, I can't do this anymore. We don't know how long we're going to be in this kind of situation, and so it does get very easy to be like, what is the point? But I think that a lot of students have been resilient and pushed forward when a lot of people have forgotten about university students. So I think that is definitely something to be grateful for. Almost, it feels weird to be grateful for things in a pandemic, but there definitely are positives to come out of this, I think.
Yeah, I feel like definitely, like, students have had it rough, you know, uni students especially, because I think a lot of the focus has been on you know, secondary school and primary school kids, which, yeah, obviously that's also very important, but, you know, we're also, you know, we're consumers, we're paying for a service, and a lot of us have felt that we haven't had, you know, a quality of education that we feel like we should be paying for. But, you know, there's nothing really that we can do about that. But I think a lot of us have been very thankful to a lot of our lecturers and a lot of our, you know, members of staff, because, you know, we've all been learning stuff as we've been going along. And I think, yeah, like you say, you know, we've had a massive boost of resilience in a way. You know, so many times I was so tempted to defer my second year, because when we realised that we were going to be back to learning, like, I originally thought that I was like, by September we'll probably be okay, and it's like, nope. And this is the thing, you know, we've had so many little boosts of, oh, we're okay now, and then it's just gotten worse, and it's been difficult. But yeah, there's been a massive boost of resilience. You know, I think a lot of students have been more encouraged to reach out and ask for help, which has been good. You know, mental health services have been you know, soaring in terms of how many people are contacting them through universities or through, you know, other organisations. And I think a lot of people have used this time to really, I don't know, just learn about themselves and work on themselves, and that's been quite nice to see in, like, friends, but also in myself.
Yeah. One thing that I've really enjoyed, so a big part of online university, for me at least, is like online Q&A sessions. I don't know about you guys if you've had a lot of like those, like weird.
Not really.
They're like phrased as seminars, but you kind of go along and you kind of have a discussion with the lecturers, and then you ask them questions.
Right.
But you can tell the lecturers are going just as mad as us by some of the things they say.
Yeah. What
might be fun is, what's the funniest thing you've heard said by a lecturer in one of these online sessions?
Oh god.
Ooh.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, please go first.
Because this is my favourite thing. So one of my lectures was on insects for we were looking at insect venoms and defense mechanisms, and the chemical makeup of them. So we had a lecture by someone who specialised in insects, and we ended up in this live session talking about wasps because some people were scared of them. We were trying to see if anyone was allergic to wasp stings, and this lecturer just went, yeah, sometimes I like to go out in my garden and feed the wasps some jam, or sometimes I take tiny pieces of ham and they give them to the wasps and they take them back to their nests.
Just giving.
And I just thought,
That's so
he's standing
weird.
in his garden with a handful of ham, giving them out to wasps.
Wow.
I mean,
So
that's pretty
that
good.
It was quite entertaining.
I don't think I've had anything like that, to be honest. I think the problem is because a lot of my seminars and my lectures are like pre-recorded, they can edit out stuff like that. I mean, the only thing that I can really think of was it was a lab session, and the person that was leading it, basically they had their camera on, and in the background there were 24 jars of jam.
25.
Yeah. And
Oh my God.
all of us, like, we were talking about it, in, like, we were like, you know, are you making the jam? Like, what's going on? And they were like, oh yeah, I've taken up jam making during lockdown. And we were like, oh, okay, that's quite nice.
Oh, God.
So, I think a lot of people have picked up different hobbies during lockdown, which is, you know, even the lecturers. I mean, I personally,
That's quite funny.
I mean, I bought some roller skates in the first lockdown, used them a few times, and I've, like, started again. I think a lot of people have gotten into roller skating, which has been quite fun.
Mm.
Have you got any funny stories, Lily?
I can't remember any like standout moments, but a lot of my seminars are very like chatty discussion, like forward and back between like students and whoever's leading it. And it means that like we get quite friendly, quite close in a way to whoever's leading. So you don't feel like you're speaking to a teacher or whatever. And one of my seminar leaders would always start the session. She'd ask something weird. She'd be like, put the weirdest emoji you can find in the chat box, or put an emoji of your favourite colour and stuff like that. And it would make her laugh. It would make us laugh. And so a lot of my lecturers were just trying to do stuff that made it feel more like a community, like a group, like you weren't just sat by yourself. And we also had a few cats arrive in one of my seminars, walking all over a keyboard, so that was great.
Oh, that's so nice.
Oh,
I suppose for lecturers
Yes,
it's been difficult because, you know, for them, they probably haven't been able to go in their office, so it has literally just been them at home. Whereas I suppose, you know, students, I've had the novelty of being able to move from my family home into my uni house, and then I've been living with my friends, which has been quite nice. But yeah, I mean, I think it's quite nice the fact that, you know, I definitely feel like the university community have been like banding together a lot more, that's been really nice.
yeah, I mean, at least from my experience, like, the university has definitely felt far more close-knit this year than it did last year.
Definitely.
I also know that a lot of my like lecturers have acknowledged how students are feeling. They understand that students are stressed and fed up because they feel the same way. So it's nice to know that they're listening, they understand as well, they're in the same boat. So it's not just students that are struggling, lecturers and teaching staff are struggling as well. And I think most of my teaching staff have been really great this year at trying to do whatever they can to make it as normal as is possible. And I really appreciate that from them because they don't have to go above and beyond, but some of them have, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've had multiple meetings with like my academic tutor who, you know, always is just like the first question which gets asked is like, how are you guys doing? Like, how are you getting on? What are you guys up to? And it's just nice because it seemed less formal because, I mean, in the first term I was just like, you know, I'd only message my tutor if I was like, if I needed some information. Whereas now it's been quite nice because I've been able to message and be like, look, I'm struggling with my mental health this month, or, you know, I'm really struggling to find motivation to do this or whatever. And it's like, I don't know, it's felt nicer because I think in other institutions you could almost feel like you're shouting at a brick wall and, you know, nothing's getting through. Whereas I mean, I don't know about you lot, like your courses, but I've definitely felt that any concerns I've been having has been listened to. I mean, even I had a meeting and I was explaining the fact that a lot of people I know are very concerned about third year and the quality that's going to be expected from us, considering, you know, we haven't, you know, especially exams, like third year exams are always the hardest, but we've also not sat an exam since A-levels. And, you know, he was like, that's a great concern to have. Thank you for bringing it up. I'll pass it on. And they're already working on stuff for us for next year. And that's just been quite nice to have felt heard. But yeah, I mean, it's all very up in the air, and that's very difficult to be okay with. But I think the fact that we've had so much reassurance and so many, like, we've had a lot of communication from the university. You know, especially when things were kicking off, it was pretty much every week we would get an email being like, here's what's going on, here's what we're doing.
Yeah, I think we're quite lucky in that, because I'm hearing from some of my other friends at different universities, like, not everyone has had that level of communication. So I do feel quite lucky that we have been acknowledged by the staffing at our university, and that they do keep us, like, in the loop of what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think that's the massive difference between school and university. You know, we are treated like adults, and, you know, if we've got a concern, we don't feel like we're being silly by raising that concern. I'm quite interested, what is the, like, if obviously hoping everything goes to plan and we're back by, you know, in September, October, we're like back to normal, what's something that you guys are like really looking forward to doing?
Ooh. Concerts. I love a concert. I have so many tickets for concerts and gigs booked, and I just want to go back and hear people screaming their hearts out. That's all I want to hear.
That is a vibe, to be fair. I don't know. I just feel like I'm looking forward to not having to think about whether it's legal to do something or not. I don't want to have to be thinking, am I allowed to go for a walk here? Am I allowed to sit on that bench? You know, that kind of thing. And being able to get back to just doing something because you want to, rather than, okay, this is all we're allowed to do, so we'll do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like, just being able to, for example, have people round or go to someone's house and not be like paranoid that someone's going to call the police or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, this is the thing, like, you know, even if it's been completely legal, for example, the house that I'm in, we want to meet up with our friends who are in a separate household to us, and technically we'd be allowed to do it because we're two households.
Yeah.
But we're just so concerned because it would end up being a massive, like, a group of 12 of us, and we don't want people to... It's, you know, the concern that people are thinking that, you know, oh, they're students, they don't care, they're being irresponsible, and it's like, we just don't want to do that. I'm just excited to be able to... I mean, we've missed so many birthdays that I'm just so excited to celebrate and be able to see family and friends. Like, I haven't seen some of my friends in, like, well over a year.
I know. Do you know what I really want? I just want to give everyone a hug. I love hugs. I love...
Same.
I just... As someone who loves... Like, my love language is, like, physical affection and, like, physical touch. And the fact I can't hug everyone is, like, so hard.
Yeah.
I just want to give everyone a hug.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what's something that you've learned or something that you've enjoyed specifically that you think should carry on post-lockdown, post-COVID? I mean, I personally think that we should carry on with masks. because, you know, for example, if someone's ill, I think looking back now, the fact that we were like, if someone was ill or someone had flu, and they would still like come into work or, you know, go to a lecture and be around other people with no protection, like, it's so it's baffling to me now. You know, the whole freshers flu, like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but this entire winter I haven't had a cold, I haven't, you know, nothing like that. And it's because as a country and, you know, as a people, we've actually become, well, more hygienic. And I just want to keep masks. I quite enjoy wearing a mask. It makes me feel safe.
I like the compassion that I've seen, like, between strangers. Like, it's very, very small, but like seeing, like, where I live at home with my parents, like, there's a lot of elderly people who live on our road, and seeing like strangers being like, oh, I'll go get your prescription for you, or do you need any shopping, I'll put it on my thing and I'll bring it round to you. You know, that compassion for someone that you've never even met or spent time with, you know, it makes you feel very human. And it's just like you don't even know this person, and yet you're showing so much care for them. Like, it just, I think everyone needs to carry that on. Like, yes, we need to move past the pandemic, but we shouldn't forget the lessons learned, and we should still show that level of compassion.
Yeah. I think I'm just more appreciative of time that I'm able to spend with people. I've always been quite a family orientated person anyway, so spending time with family and like seeing people at Christmas and birthdays I've always loved. But I feel like I kind of took it for granted being able to do that. Like, I'd give anything right now to be able to have everyone round, have a big barbecue, that kind of thing. So I definitely think going forward I'll be more appreciative of that, and just being able to see people again and hang out and hug people and all of that kind of stuff.
See, I feel like you guys have gone for really heartfelt answers. I feel a bit silly now for just saying masks.
No, I do see where you're coming from. Like, a lot of like places like Korea and Japan, like they use masks like every winter season. You know, I do agree that it is something that should be used far more regularly in, you know, the UK and other countries like it.
Yeah, I think something which is going to be quite interesting to see is, so at the moment the plan for the UK is, or for England, is the 21st of June is when they're planning, or, you know, no earlier than that, for the restrictions to be gone, you know, everything back to normal effectively or whatever. And it would be so interesting to see how long, like, how nervous, like, I personally would be quite nervous to go out and do stuff. Like, for example, you know, going to festivals and stuff.
I don't know how that's going to happen personally.
I think a lot of people are going to be cautious.
I haven't got my hopes up for the 21st of June because I don't want to build myself up to get really excited about restrictions easing, because things might change. If we've learnt anything in the last year, it's that we really can't predict what's going to happen. So I'm trying not to get, you know, buzzing about being able to go back to concerts and stuff like that we've mentioned. But I know that I'll be nervous going back into that, going to concerts and getting on the train and stuff like that, because it's stuff that I haven't done in over a year, and so I feel like it's quite natural to be nervous about going back to stuff like that. And I just think people need to acknowledge that if someone isn't quite ready to do something yet, that's okay, accept that, and people just need to go at their own pace, I think.
Yeah, I think it's just definitely important to just don't feel like because you're allowed to do something that you have to do it. Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people probably feel at the moment. It's like, you know, for example, because pubs are open doesn't mean you have to go to the pub with your friends. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
You can still, if you still want to just have people over in, in the garden, or if you just want to go to a park, like, you can do that as well. Like, you don't have to do stuff just because you can. But yeah,
I think that probably brings us to a nice end point, a high note.
I think it does.
What we're looking forward to in the future.
And who knows, we might look back on this in a few months and be like, look how optimistic we were. Or
Okay,
look how pessimistic we were.
Yeah, let's go with the pessimistic one, Leah. Let's try and keep this positive.
Good vibes, good vibes.
Yeah, hopefully.
This is the last one. We're done
things
now.
Will get better.
We're going to be free.
Stay on track.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Millie and Phoebe, for joining me today.
Thank you.
That's all right.
And yeah, we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.